Welcome to 12 Minutes or Less with the Author. I'm your host, T.L. Brown, but you can call me Tracy. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome to today's podcast episode. I have a special guest, author Jennifer Brasington-Crowley. Her latest book, Nightmare, was just released on June 13th and can be found on Amazon. Jennifer is here to talk about her new book. Jennifer is an author, illustrator, and Slytherin. She is a little obsessive about things like music and animals and can't help but sneak miniature biology lessons into all of her books. Author of the Lindsay and Lainey Lion children's book series, as well as contemporary fiction Raven Song, Bird Song, Hell's Bells, Stillwater, Cayman Island, one of my favorites, Nightingale, and now Nightmare, and others. You can learn more about Jennifer at www.sunnyvillezoo.com and on her author page at Amazon. That link will be included in the caption that goes along with this podcast episode. All of Jennifer's books, ebooks, and paperbacks are available on Amazon. Her ebooks are also in Amazon's Kindle Unlimited program. So I'm very excited, Jennifer. Welcome. Thank you for agreeing to come on 12 Minutes or Less with the Author.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Tracy. Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of yours, of both of your book series, so I'm really excited to be here.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, let's get right to it. Your book, your latest book, Nightmare, just released on June 13th, and I've already read it because you were kind enough to give me an advanced copy so I could peek at it. I know how great it is. I would like you to tell us about Nightmare and a little bit about why you wrote it.
Okay, yeah, great. Thank you. So Nightmare just released on June 13th. There is a big reason behind it releasing on June 13th. That just happens to be the very unlucky birthday of almost all of my main characters in all of my series. So Jake Nightmare, or Jay Nightingale, or Jacob Nightingale. He's got a lot of different names. Cubby Nightingale, he's another one of the names. So I did have a reader say to me, boy, he has got a lot of names. But he was born on unlucky June 13th. So I thought, what a better day to release it. So Nightmare is the story of little 16-year-old Chubby Cubby Nightingale, and he runs away from home. He runs away because he's being bullied, and he thinks that's the only answer. But what ends up happening to poor Chubby Cubby is that he really ends up facing a lot more of his demons than he ever imagined would happen. Very just short synopsis is he runs away to California to move in with his brother. And his brother has a record label, and he ends up just falling into the music business with his brother, and things kind of tumble down and down and spiral down and down and down. This book, it hits on a lot of very dark themes. I had one reader tell me that it was probably the darkest book I've written, and I kind of agree with that. There's sometimes I think, man, this is such a downer. Is anybody going to find any joy in this book at all? I will say that it does end on an up note. it doesn't spiral into the ground and stay there. But part of the reasons, I wrote this book was to hit on a lot of these dark themes. It goes into prescription drug abuse. It talks a lot about alcoholism. There's a lot of sexual coercion in there. There is a sexual assault from a female on a male, which is something that, you don't see a whole lot of. It's not really brought to light. So there were just a lot of important issues I thought that really needed to be brought into the light. And so I wrote this book. Another reason I chose this book is because, like we were saying before we got on the air here, is that I have a couple of different main characters that people seem to really like. One of them is from the Raven Song series, Raven, the main character. And then here's Jake Nightmare, Jay Nightingale, and he is from another series. And the fact that people liked Jay more than Raven blew my mind, because Raven is fun. He's funny. He's erratic. He's got a lot of energy. And Jay is just so quiet and so unassuming. And I was so surprised that people liked him more. So I thought, you know what? Let's just tell his story.
And it's a fabulous story. As I said, I was lucky enough to pre-read it. And I agree. Yeah, it got really dark, gritty. I would use the word gritty. And, but at the same time, and this is what I love about your writing, Jennifer, you will break your readers' hearts, but you always stitch them back together. And I think that is a skill and a talent unlike any that I've seen. So even though it is dark, there is light. And as you said, the ending, there is definitely light.
Thank you.
So tell us about the Stillwater series, because as you mentioned, your character in Nightmare, Jake, Jake Nightmare, Jay Nightingale, Jay Nightingale, the grown-up version of him, he is in your Stillwater series, which I absolutely love. Once again, he's in Cayman Island, one of my favorites. Tell us about the Stillwater series.
Sure. Yeah, Stillwaters is a really kind of a different series. It started, I'll tell you, I started writing this because I have premonition dreams. They're not scary premonition dreams. My premonition dreams are very boring, more like I'm going to get a call from the doctor's office, or somebody's going to drop a can of peaches. I mean, just bleh, very boring. But then I also have this very weird curse attached to my books, where it seems like oftentimes when I write down the name of a famous celebrity, they end up dying. So I was thinking about these things, and I thought, how would it be to combine and have a person, a character who has premonition dreams that end in death? And so that's where that story started was with Jonathan Sharp, and he has these premonition dreams, and when he dreams, somebody dies, and when he wakes up, that dream has come true. And the problem with this book is that it hits people one way or the other, because I call it a romance. Romance readers hate it. They say this is not a romance. Just because two people, might, get between the sheets a few times here and there, that does not a romance make. And people, but to me, it was my version of a Romeo and Juliet. I love a tragic romance. That's my favorite type of book, is a tragic romance. So I thought, well, here, I'm going to write my own Romeo and Juliet. And yeah, and it has gotten mixed reviews.
And I will go on record as saying that I don't read a lot of romance, so I can't speak to that. And it was, again, dark, but yeah, it was so creative and well done. And of course, Stillwaters is the series name. The first book is Stillwaters, goes to Cayman Island, then it goes to Nightingale, and that series is related to Nightmare, your latest book. And I want
Yes.
to go to my next question, if I can, and that is, can you tell us what's next? What are you getting ready to work on? Or if you're not getting ready to work on, what are you thinking about as a next writing project?
Well, I'm kind of thinking about that character I mentioned before, Raven. Raven Xerxes is a rock star. He lives hard, he lives fast, but he's starting to slow down. And part of me thinks, how fun would it be to write a book about him retiring from the music business, moving to the suburbs, raising some kids, and being the t-ball coach, going to the PTA meetings, just a big giant fish out of water type of book, something that after the downward spiral that is Nightmare, something that will not only bring readers of mine back up, but would bring me back up too, because as you know, as a writer, when you write hard stuff, it takes a toll on you emotionally.
It really does. And because you said that, I'm going to earmark a future episode where we talk about the emotional toll on the writer. You are so right. You are brilliant, though. Well, we are nearing the end of our podcast episode. So I want to go through a few things so readers can find you and your books, and especially Nightmare, which was just released on June 13th. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I appreciate it. Listeners, go to Amazon, Jennifer Brasington-Crowley. All her books are there, paperbacks, ebooks, and her ebooks are in Kindle Unlimited too. You can find links to Amazon in this podcast description. And also you can find her links to social media, which is Instagram. That's where I met Jennifer. So make sure that if you're on Instagram, you are following Brasington Books. And lastly, you can also go to her website. Once again, that is www.sunnyvillezoo.com. Jennifer, thank you. I'm so glad you're on today's show.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for listening, readers. Be well. This has been 12 Minutes or Less with the author. Thanks for listening to today's episode. Hope you can join me for the next one. Until then, this is Tracy, aka Author T.L. Brown, signing off.